Okay, now that we got our Sig P238 taken all the way apart, or most of the way except for the trigger, we're going to go ahead and put it back together. Now, like I said in the first video, unless it's absolutely necessary, don't take your trigger apart. It's just too much of a hassle to put back together. It's really difficult, and we're not going to get into all that. So like I said in the first one, unless it is absolutely vital that you take your trigger assembly apart, please don't do it. It's just really not worth it. It's too much stuff going on, and it's really difficult to put back. But we'll go ahead and put it back together now. We got our mainspring housing here and our sear spring. Get that. You're going to need your ejector, your sear, and then that little pin that holds the ejector and sear. Now on your ejector and sear, how they're going to go back in is like this. You're going to have your ejector sitting like that, and then your sear is going to rest on top of him just like that. Take note of that. I'll give you all a close-up of it. Here. That way y'all can see just how it goes back in. Just like that. So that's how it's going to go in. First, what we'll do, take our mainspring housing and our sear spring and slide it in. Go ahead and slide it in. Now these springs right here, they're going to have to be on the outside right here like that for it to go in, so make sure they're on the outside, and then don't push it all the way up, because these springs right here are going to have to go behind that trigger bar right there. So I take me a little screwdriver to help me push it back. These springs are going to go behind that trigger bar. I'll try and get y'all a good look in there. Make sure you get both of them when you go to push back. You might have to come down with it a little bit. It's got to be, there's a small little spot where you can actually get it in, but just play with it a little bit and you'll get it in, and there they are like that. There we go. So these springs right here have to be behind the trigger bar. I don't know if y'all can see that, but make sure they're like that. And then what you're going to want to do too is kind of push those back a little bit and bring it down. Next is where your tweezers come in handy. You can get your tweezers and get your sear. We're going to hold on to him and then get our pin and set him in. Now, how I like to do this is I get my pin started a little bit like that, and you can kind of push it halfway in there because you got plenty of room since we don't have the ejector in, and just line it up in there. See if y'all can see in there. Line it up and then push him through like that. Now these springs right here that are connected to your mainspring housing, that sear spring, it's going to have to go behind this right, your sear. So I like to stick my finger in here and hold it like that, and then get a screwdriver and pull those springs back onto the back side of that sear. You might have to bring them down a little bit. Oh, shoot. That's okay. We can go ahead and push them in still. Make sure you get both of them. It's going to have to go behind that sear and the trigger bar. I got one, need to get the other. As you can see here, we have the sear spring is behind the sear, behind the trigger bar, like that. Make sure it's in there like that. And now we'll need to push out this pin right here. Push it out a little bit, so that way we can put our. And we're gonna need to slide over our sear a little bit. He managed to slide over on us. Slide him all the way over, like that, and push out the spring all the way, or not the pin rather, not the spring. Push it out till it's kind of halfway into that sear, like that. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to get our ejector, and he goes in like this, facing this way, and he's going to need to go behind the trigger bar, lined up with that sear, but in front of the sear springs right there. So we'll just lift him on in here. Be careful. Line up those holes and then push your pin through. If I can get it, there it is, right there like that. And there you have it. So just, I know I'm going over this a lot, but just to make sure you have it right, you have your sear springs all the way in the back, then you have your sear and your ejector like this, and then your trigger bar. So after we have that, we can go ahead and get our mainspring right here, and I'll just drop him in through the top, and he goes into your mainspring housing, of course. Kind of tap him in there and make sure he's seated all the way in there. Just push him down a little bit. There we go. Next, what we can do, get your hammer and your hammer strut, and it's pretty easy to figure out how that goes in. Just drop him in, and then over here, that plunger for your safety right here, or not the plunger, the housing for it or whatever. This will this is what holds your hammer in. So we'll do that. You might have to push your ejector forward a little bit to get it to seat right. You can flip it over like that and line it up. And there it is like that. Now once we're here, we can go ahead and function test it, or actually before we do that, we're going to need to put in our mainspring housing pin to hold it in place, otherwise he'll come out. Now over here, take it out the way you put it, or put it in the way you took it out. See how there's a little indent in there? Flip it over, it goes right to left like that. So we'll go ahead and put it in, and you can get it most of the way in with just your thumb, your finger, and then the rest of the way I like to just take a non-marring hammer. This is rubberized so it won't scratch up my gun. I'll just kind of pound him, and there you have it. Now that we have that in, we'll go ahead and function test just to make sure we have it put it together right. Cock back the hammer. Now don't drop your hammer without the slide on. It can damage your parts. So we'll just go ahead and keep the hammer back with our thumb, and then pull the trigger like that. And you don't want it to drop all the way on an empty slide. So, alright, seems to be doing alright. So we'll go ahead and move on with the rest of the operation. Your mag catch, and we'll put him. He's real easy. Just put him in, drop him in like that. Get your screwdriver and then a quarter turn to the right. Just kind of moving back and forth till you feel it catch, and there it is. And function test real quick. Okay, that's working good. Let's see here. Next, what we can do is we'll go ahead and put our safety back in. And we'll get our safety in that little spring right here. He just drops in like that. Yep. Drops in like that, and then get your safety. And you can see here it's got a little notch in it, and he'll just slide in like that. Line that notch up with. There's a little tiny hole right there y'all can see, and just line it up, drop it in. Make sure your hammer's up like that. And then for this, I usually just get like a little punch and push down on this spring just enough to slide the safety over like that, and there you go. Safety's good. Okay, now that we're done with our frame, we can go ahead and put our slide back together, and we'll get our firing pin stop, our firing pin extractor, and our firing pin spring. Now your extractor, he just goes in the same way you took him out, just like this, and slide them in and then line them up. There's a notch in there that your firing pin stop goes through, and just make sure he's lined up straight. That way it can slide in. Now your firing pin spring, remember there's a certain way that he went on. The smaller end and the larger end. The larger end goes into the slide first. So we'll put that in, then our firing pin goes in like that. And then just get you like a punch or something and push down on your firing pin. Get your firing pin block, stop, and then he'll slide in just like that, click into place, and that holds your extractor and your firing pin in. Next, what we'll do is drop our barrel back in. Recoil spring guide rod. Pretty simple operation here, just like that. Now that we have that done, go ahead and cock our hammer back on our frame. Oh, safety. Cock it back, and then put our slide back on, and then your ejector right here, you're going to have to push that down a little bit to get the slide to go over it, like that. And then hold back the slide, get your slide lock lever, put it in, And there we go. Now we'll go ahead and give it a really good function test just to make sure everything works good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Safety, check that. Check the safety. Yeah, nothing. Alright, seems to be working good. One test I always like to do whenever I take apart the slide, the firing pin or something, is get you a little glue stick, like that. Right the slide, drop it down your barrel. This is just to make sure your firing pin drops. So we'll glue stick in, make sure it's all the way back, kind of lean it back. Then, if your glue stick goes flying out, obviously your firing pin is dropping and you are good to go. If not, you did something wrong, take it apart and figure out what the heck you did. But anyways, you can put the grip panels back on. That's real easy to do. Like I said, not going to get into that. But anyways, I think that's about it. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help. Drop me a comment, send me a message, and I'll do my best to help. But anyways, I think that's about it. Thank y'all for watching and have a good one.